back to my channel. If you guys are new, definitely hit that subscribe button. So basically, I quit my job on October 3rd. I work at Target. Well, I worked at Target if you guys didn't know. It just became to be a little bit too much stress. And the reason being is I just didn't feel respected. After 2.5 years at a job, I felt like there was just a lot of disrespect going on between management and me. And I couldn't deal with it anymore. I had been working there for 2.5 years, and I feel like at that point you should have a little bit of seniority. And they were giving a bunch of new team members, which no offense to them, but they were giving a bunch of new team members 30 plus hours, and then I was getting 5 to 10 hours when I'm supposed to be working full time. Granted, I did have my availability 8 a.m. till 4:30 Monday through Friday. Saturdays are requested off because I have a daughter. It's just something I have to have. My boyfriend works until 8 p.m. at night. Doesn't work. And then Sundays I'm open availability because he's off on Sundays. So when this was going down, they kept scheduling me like times I couldn't work. Like there would be times where I'm scheduled until like 7:30 at night, and I'm like, I have to be there to pick my daughter up by 5 at school. So 7:30 doesn't work. And it was just little things like that. And then they were getting really petty and only scheduling me for the 5 to 10 hours my last 2 months there, which was very annoying, gotta say that. And it just got to be too much. I was getting 4-hour and 45-minute shifts where they would expect me to do everything that somebody working an 8-hour shift has to get done. And it just doesn't work when you're working 4 hours and 45 minutes and you have guests to deal with, because we're in the middle of a remodel, so like every single guest is stopping and asking questions. And obviously like that's to be expected, but when you have that going on top of truck, we have 3 flats of diapers every day. Most of them are backstock, so you're standing in the back room going up and down the ladder for 2 hours just backstocking. So you have that going on. Then you also have 2 more vehicles of baby food and just like random items in the baby section. And then on top of that, they were adding the infant clothing section that you have to get done. And there was just no way I was getting that done in 4 hours and 45 minutes. So they would schedule me from 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. about 2 to 3 days a week. And keep in mind, back in December of 2018, they asked me to move over to Baby Hardlands permanently because I was the only mother at the time who was not open availability, but full-time at Target. Other people were only there for like after work and stuff. So Target was my only job, and so they asked me back in December of 2018 if I would move over. I said yes, under the condition that I would be the sole owner of the section and I would get hours, more hours than I was getting in Softlines. Because in December I was getting maybe like 30 hours and I just wasn't into it back then. I felt like I should have gotten more hours as well then, but that's just granted that they hired on a lot of new team members for seasonal, so obviously a lot of the hours went towards them, and it wasn't just the solid 10 people in Softlines anymore. It was more like 20 to 30 people. So that's why my hours went down then, and I knew that, but at the same time I was like, I'd rather be in an area where I get more hours, because at that point we had just moved out, probably been moved out for about 6 to 8 months. So there was that thing. And then afterwards, so they switched me over. I got about 40 hours for the first week. And then after that, it slowly started declining to where I was getting like 25, 30 hours again by March of this year. And by May, June, me and Jacob had fully decided on going to Cape Cod. We had our plane tickets booked. We had a rental car. The only thing we needed was money to supply these things and to have a fun vacation where we can spend money and everything. So I kind of started taking shifts with Softlines again. And keep in mind, I've also been with Softlines from April 2017 till December 2018, so over a year I was in Softlines and solely Softlines. And I owned men's at the time. I had been in the fitting room. I've done ready to wear, which is the women's clothing. I've done juniors. I've done shoes, accessories. I've done activewear and intimates. I've been like the whole 9 yards in Softlines, so like I know everything ins and outs. And towards the end, I owned men. So, like, that was my section. That was where I was scheduled every day. Like, I knew where everything was. I did the VMGs. Like, everything was my thing there. So, meanwhile, I'm back in Baby Hardlines getting no hours, and I decided to pick up shifts for Softlines. We got a new ETL between those months because the old one left for a better job, which good for him. I really miss him though. He was an amazing manager. He really knew how to kind of make you feel personable, but then at the same time still be your boss, and it was just really awesome. But he ended up going on to a better opportunity for him, which is great. Now he's working for charity and all of that, so kudos to him. But either way, we did end up getting a new ETL, which is an executive team lead. They're like right under the store manager. So the way that Target works, sorry, my cat just hit my tripod, but the way that the store works is team members, team leads, senior team leads, which are mostly taken out now, ETLs, and then the store manager. And there's only one store manager. There's about 4 ETLs. There's about 8 team leads, and then the rest of them are just team members, which I was a team member. But now they're called designated business owners. So I was a designated business owner of Baby Hardlines. And like I was saying, I was picking up shifts in Softlines again. Meanwhile, this ETL had no clue who I was. She came in after I had already left for Baby Hardlines, so probably in about March or April she arrived. And I had been covering, because I've also taken night shifts when I was in Baby Hardlines, and around like April, May. So I was taking shifts in Baby Hardlines. Well, I was in Baby Hardlines, but then they would move me over to the fitting room because there would be nobody to watch the phones and check people in and out of the fitting room. So I would be over there, and then she would like introduce herself, but then she'd have somebody else come over, and then she'd be like, oh, this is, I forget your name. And it was just like little rude remarks. And then she was like, oh, but she's not Softlines. She doesn't know anything about it. And I was like, at one point I was like, I've been here for about 2 years at this point. I was in Softlines for a year and a half. Like, I know Softlines. You have been here for all of 3 months in Target. I know way more about Softlines than you do, and you're an ETL. So let's just clear the air up on that. So then, point blank, I kind of shot her down when she was talking to another person, because this was a VMG person. Like, he was specifically there to do VMGs, which is visual merchandising guides. So like, he was salary. He wasn't a team lead or anything, but he was salaried and had a degree in visual merchandising. So that was what he did, and that was kind of like how she introduced me to him. And so like, I kind of cleared it up to him right away, because I was like, you're not going to disrespect me like that in front of somebody that's new. So I kind of cleared that up, and then fast forward to about July, June, July, I started picking up shifts for Softlines, and I picked up more and more, and I was more happy over in Softlines because I knew everyone there, wasn't as lonely. I was really picking up the pace when it came to truck and making sure everything was picked up off the ground and zoned, greeting guests, like the whole 9 yards. So I went up to her, the new ETL, and I was like, hey, I really want to move back over to Baby Hardlines. And keep in mind, there were like no animosity between us or anything. Like, I never tried to like make her hate me or anything. Like, that one incident wasn't a huge deal, but it did like kind of stick with me. And I didn't like sit there and like bully her or anything. She didn't bully me, but it was like something that was kind of like in the back of my mind, and at the time I didn't really think much of it. But regardless, I asked her if I could go back to Softlines. She was like, okay, I'll give you a 2-week trial period and we'll reconvene. So anyways, the Friday before my vacation, so like literally the last day before I go on vacation, or sorry, it was Thursday. The Thursday before my vacation, I had my flight leave on Saturday, but Thursday was like my last day until my vacation started at work. And she basically told me that I wasn't going to be allowed back in Softlines for now. And I was kind of like taken back. I was like, why? And then she's like, well, you're not dressing like soft lines should be. Keep in mind, I wasn't going to buy a whole new wardrobe on $450 a month. There was no way. Because she wanted red shirts, but that weren't like Target shirts, and she wanted them to be decorative and fun and cool and show your style. And like, that's all good, but I don't feel like that's a reason to not be allowed back in soft lines. Another one was that she said I wasn't interacting with guests enough, and I was like, I'm interacting with them like as much as you can expect anyone to interact with a guest. Like, I'm helping them. If they have questions about anywhere else in the store, like I'm going to show them. I say hi whenever somebody's in my section. Like, I don't know what else you wanted me to do. And then there was another girl in soft lines who is amazing with guests, but she sucks at her job. Like, she sucks at the rest of it. And it's no offense to her, but like, she wanted me to be that person, like, who's really bubbly, really good with guests. And I was like, I have so much other things that I'd rather check off my list than be bubbly 24/7 with a guest. Like, yes, guests are a huge part of Target, and I get that Target is very guest-centric right now. But at the same time, like, you guys have so much other priorities to do throughout the day that interacting with the guests doesn't really do much at this point. You can interact with guests. I interacted with guests the whole time. But at the same time, I wasn't like going above and beyond. I was like saying like, hey, how are you today? If you need anything, let me know. I'm definitely here to help you, and if you need any advice or want to know where something else in the store is, I'm here. So it was just like that kind of interaction. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm going to strike up a 20-minute conversation with you about something that you don't honestly care about. So it was kind of like that kind of conversation was the vibe that I'm getting from her. She wanted me to like go above and beyond and like interact and like know their life story and blah blah blah. So fast forward on to that day, I was just like really pissed off, and I just said whatever. And that day I think was the last day that I actually cared about what I was doing at Target. It kind of put a very bad taste in my mouth, and I was just done. Okay, so let's forward on to after my vacation. So the week after I came back from my vacation, I missed one day with a no-call, no-show. It was an accident. The whole week I was doing 2:30 till 2 to 10:30 shifts. So that's about 8.5 hours. But it was from 2 p.m. till 10:30, and then one day there was a 6 to 12:30, I think, or 6 to 11:30. And I didn't realize that because I knew that the next week I started my 6 a.m. shift. So I had no clue that like this 6 a.m. shift was there. And there were definitely steps I could take to kind of correct that action and know my schedule, and I completely understand that. But you guys also have to kind of put your feet in my shoes and kind of think, well, you're on vacation, you have a lot of unpacking to do, you have a whole child to take care of, make sure she gets fed, make sure she goes to school. Jacob started his new schedule, so he was working 11 a.m. till 8:30 p.m. every night. Well, 8 p.m., but really he gets home around 8:30. So it was like those little things that kept adding up, and I was just like, it was hard, and I don't regret my decision, or I kind of regret not looking at my schedule, but at the same time, it was whatever. So anyways, 2 weeks later, they call me back for a meeting and basically said that I am on a 12-month probation for one no-call, no-show, which I thought was ridiculous because there was this girl when I first started, and she had like 3 or 4 no-call, no-shows. All they did was like basically slap the back of her hand, and she ended up quitting. Like, they didn't give her probation, they didn't give her any warning. Well, they gave her a warning, but no probation. And the warnings are basically called coaching. Yeah, they're called coaching. So they like coached her about like showing up on time, blah blah blah. So then continuing on, I just got a straight up warning. There was no coaching, there was no anything like, hey, I just want you to know, like, this is bad, don't do it again. So that's what I expected. Like, hello, it was an accident. It wasn't like I purposely didn't show up. But also I did call in that day. I woke up at 10 a.m. They had like a 2-hour probationary, like not probationary, but like 2-hour time before it's a probation for your no call, no show. So like if you work at 8, you have until 10 to call in. So anyways, I woke up at 10, and obviously 6 to 8 would have been that 2-hour period. Woke up at 10, looked at my schedule, said, oh crap, didn't realize, and called them and said, I'm so sorry, like, it won't happen again, it was an accident, blah blah blah. Like, the latest I've been at Target is 15 minutes. So, and that's not even like punishable. So for that being said, it was just like a huge shock to me that I woke up 4 hours late for a shift. So that was a whole thing, and I ended up getting the probation for it for 12 months. So then fast forward to October 3rd, which was the day that I decided I was quitting. Basically, I had called off for Sunday, the Sunday before that coaching, and it was because I had a family emergency. Like, there was no way I was coming in that day, so I called them the night before, and I was like, hey, just letting you know I'm not going to be in, like, we're doing this, that, whatever. And they said, okay, fine. So whatever, I just kind of let it slip my mind. I was like, cool, whatever. And I get in Thursday, finish my day, the last, like, I was going to clock out, and they're like, hey, can we talk to you for a second? And normally when you get a coaching, it's a 1 team lead, but this time we had 2 team leads. And I was just kind of like shocked. I was like, why do you have 2 people telling me this in the first place? Because one of them just sat there quietly, and I was like, what is the point of this? So also, this team lead that was talking to me, we'll name him Max, and we'll name her Kate. So Max was basically like, he didn't like me for whatever reason. He was the one who gave me the probation. Before that, he was like talking crap about me to my other team lead in soft lines, not the ETL, but a different team lead who was the one who hired me in the first place. So like, he would just talk crap about me to her in front of my best friend Ashley, who I've mentioned before on this channel, and she would tell me, and I was like, why would he even say that? Like, that's just so random. And why would you say that on the floor when there could be guests, and on the floor in front of other team members that are my peers? Like, that just shouldn't happen. So that was one thing that I did not like. But that was like probably back in January, February. So that wasn't even something that kind of like was on my mind at the point, but there were just like little jabs that he would do to me for like no apparent reason. And finally, like, it was just my last straw when he pulled me into the office and was like, listen, we don't like your performance and maybe hard lines, and you aren't doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, you're not finishing track, blah, blah, blah. And this is when I said to him, I was like, I am giving 4 hours and 45-minute shifts to interact with guests because we have a huge remodel going on. I come in 2 times a week. Everything changes, so I have to adapt to that in the first place before I can help anybody else. I have to learn the new grounds. Somebody asked me a question. I don't know. There's nothing on the devices to show us because they're not updated yet with the new locations, so I have to walk around the store with the guests and help them find it. Second, I have to do truck. I have 3 flats of diapers every single day. Nobody's done anything about that. The floor is completely filled with every diaper known to man. The back room is an issue. Like, we have 2 hours that we have to backstock everything. That day, I did have a second person scheduled in baby hardlines, and they took her away. And I was kind of pissed off about that in the first place. And so, like, I looked at him and I was like, listen, you guys are not giving me a chance. You're not helping me. You're not making sure that I'm there to succeed. You're just expecting things that aren't relevant. Like, those things nobody can do. It's not just me. It's literally nobody can do what you're asking. So for you to bully me about this is ridiculous. And why are there 2 of you? And he never answered that question. That was one of the things that I was like, come on, dude. Why are there 2? There doesn't need to be 2 people telling me this. And so that whole thing happened, and I just walked out of there and I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. He also mentioned the absence that I had on Sunday, and I was just like, listen, I had a family emergency. I'm not sorry. It's something that's got to happen. And he's like, well, if you have one more call out, you're gonna be on another 12-month probation. It was like, so I'm gonna have 24 months of probation. He's like, yeah. And I was like, why don't you just fire me? And he's like, because they're different things. And I was like, why would I willingly be on a 24-month probation? Like, that doesn't make sense. Plus, I have a daughter. She's gonna have days off of school. Like, she's gonna get sick. I'm gonna get sick. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm gonna call off again. Like, that's just gonna happen within the next 12 months. You can't just tell me I'm not allowed to call off. Like, that's ridiculous. It's gonna happen. So, after that meeting, I was just done, and I ended up calling in Friday, telling them that I quit. I did a online exit interview, and I basically told them everything that I said to you guys. I was like, I'm done. Like, this was just ridiculous. You guys mistreat all of your employees. You're losing people left and right who have been here for years. And it's just ridiculous with how you treat people. You've got to have to start treating people better. I know that there's a lot of people out there that want jobs, but you're going to lose them too. And you're just going to cycle through more and more people. It just is going to happen. So that was basically the long-winded story of why I quit. There are definitely a lot more people out there with bigger and better stories of quitting Target and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I feel like that was my truth. I wanted to share it with you guys. If you guys are new to this channel, I do a lot of lifestyle, budgeting, clean with me's, all that fun stuff. And my new schedule is going to be Fridays are budget videos, and Tuesdays / Wednesdays, one of those days, will be clean with me's, cook with me's, vlogs, whatever other style video I want to do that week. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all, and I will see you guys next Friday. Bye.